What what is happening? Uh, are there humans? Any humans out there? Are you a person? Do you exist? Do you have any proof of that? Just checking. Just checking. Trying to see if it seems like the streams are working. I don't know. Or are they? It's always the question. Is technology totally screwing me? Or is it actually helping me? Is it helping me in any meaningful way? I'm not sure. I mean, I definitely love going on the internet. But I'm also not sure if it's doing anything. If we're really making any sort of progress. At least consciously. Is that really what's going around? So just got some pictures for you from today. It was definitely a very heavy kind of day. A lot of parallel lines, a lot of crossing lines. We're seeing sort of an X here, right? This is a cross. This comes down here, crosses here. Now, what causes flight paths to cross like that? That is sort of my question of the day. What could possibly be the reason for these types of flight paths here? What could possibly be the reason? I'm drawing a blank, basically. I'm not sure. I can't really see any reason why. Flight paths are defined. Those are things that are sort of set. Planes follow one after the another. They come out of the airport and then they go in a circle, and they're sort of like paths. At least that's what I'm thinking. I'm not exactly a airplane scientist, but that's sort of what I assume. There's sort of roads, not roads, because it's the sky, but that there's sort of major thoroughfares and paths that planes go through. But not today. Today was a little different, I guess. Can we full screen this? Yes. So, right, this was all day. This was nonstop the whole day. You see this guy parallel, and then you see the cross. You see the crisscross. And I just asked myself, what, how? And this one's going straight. They're usually going straight. You don't usually see a curve in the flight path itself. Right? And this is I believe the same spot just a couple minutes later, so you can see sort of the dissipation. This is the dissipation. This is what it ends up looking like. Here's obviously a fresher one, much fresher one, and that stuff in the background, that is also dissipation, I would say. More sort of just layers. This is what it ends up being, this sort of milky haze, right? But here's it's an interesting picture because it's the full life cycle, right? You got 1, 2, and then like that's what it turns into. This sort of it just gets everywhere. And I would think inevitably comes back down to earth. So, right, we're talking about this. Normally planes fly straight. I mean, you've been in a plane, right? Usually the plane does a little turning, does some corners, maybe when it's taken off. But once it's got its bearing, once it knows where it's headed, that's it. That's what it's doing. It's doing that. And then you just sort of head towards your destination, So what would be the point of something like this, right? I just had to capture this because I thought it was fascinating. We have definitely many other trails, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But here, all around the same time period, we have this path that goes up and then a quick bank heading in that direction. Then you have Another fully unbanked. I believe this one might have curved up and followed along in the same perpendicular, right? Then we have this straight one, another one here, another one here. Those I think are from a different time. But these three all seem to be around, right? The same consistency, the same time, and I haven't seen this very often where, right? X marks the spot, but also it's like a triple crossing. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. We have the technology. Like, right? Isn't that's just sort of mind-boggling to me. You know, triple, quadruple, quintuple X. You know, what was it about this point that was so imperative to get covered? Was it, what was it? What was going on there? Anything worth reporting back about? Fascinating capture, I would say. And so we got a couple more angles there. Right, same sort of picture. But really, it is at least a quadruple crossing, all around the same time period. That's what I'm seeing here. And then this is obviously the dissipation. But, right, have you ever seen something like that? I've never seen anything like that before. I thought it was more than mildly interesting. And I wanted to share it with you. I really just wanted to share it with you. So I'm wondering, it may just skip to our main topic, or should we talk about the news? There's options here, you know. I saw this today. It seems to be the main sort of trending story, that climate change happening. Climate change, bad, real bad. And it's time to really, really go hard on this climate change. And Britain would definitely be the leader of all things messaging and just, that they're the OG empire. They know how to, bury the bodies, basically. They've been doing this for a real long time. So it doesn't surprise me, really, that they're leading this charge on climate change. Should I play the video? I don't know. I think it's too risky. Probably get in trouble. Right, but this is coming from Jeremy Corbyn, right? Set off a wave of action, right? And it's supposed to have this big shockwave and head all throughout the world, that everybody's gonna really finally figure this whole problem out and really, start to get on it. Let's fix that climate emergency that we got going. Can you hear the rhetoric? I mean, it's so obvious once you sort of break through. But I'm still left thinking about, how can you, when you're still in it, recognize what's happening, right? And I would say it's, one clue would be this alarmist sort of intense language. Obviously they're trying to get people to snap into action, and that's what you do. You use some alarmist, intense language. Is it effective? Is it? I don't know. Maybe it's just more of a war of attrition kind of thing, because they've just been really hitting this nail for an extremely long time. And I don't know. I don't know if it seems like it's working slowly but surely, that people are really, really starting to buy into this whole thing, that it's not really a controversy anymore. We're getting past the controversy. It's an emergency. It's a climate emergency, environmental emergency, crisis, all these sort of buzzwords. There is no longer a distant future. The irreversible destruction of environment within our lifetimes. It's a crisis. It is a threat that all of us have to unite to meet, right? What if you substituted in this article something other than the climate, right? Maybe, what if it was like, I don't know, the Jews, or some other sort of ethnic minority group, maybe right-wingers, maybe some conspiracy theorists. It's a it's an information emergency. It's a conspiracy emergency. It's a crisis. I just hope you can recognize how this tactic is used constantly and how it just remains hyper effective, where you just sort of freak people out. And if you keep ringing the bell and getting enough people to say the same or similar things, then people are going to start to wake up and crowd around and want to see what's going on, right? People love a spectacle, and this is definitely a very compelling spectacle. You know, if somebody really told you that you're going to be around for the end of the world, then right, you're going to want to see that. You're going to participate or possibly try to stop it. I'm really not sure how this makes people feel these days. Like, does it make you want to give up? Does it make you want to keep going? Does it make you want to join Jeremy Corbyn's government and help him out? Like, is that the plan? Get this all moving on to the next phase? Well, I'm just not sure. I'm not sure, but I am sure that this story was plastered all over the internet. So I just wanted to call your attention to it. It's a climate emergency. So I want to talk about, let's close this one. I want to talk about last night's premiere of season 6 of The 100. Been a really popular show. Been a pretty well made show on CW about teenagers that get dropped onto Earth after it's been sort of poisoned, and then they're like the last humans or whatever. And it's in its 6th season now, so it's definitely gone through a whole bunch of other permutations that have really nothing to do with each other. And, just using that standard convention of shifting power roles and having different characters in different leads. Right, so now what happened was basically they've screwed up the planet again. No surprise in comparison to the news and everything that's going on, right? Because everything in fiction has to reflect the will or the direction everything is going in. So, if there's a show about post-apocalypse Earth, right, it's going to be about the environment and trying to fix the planet and not screw it up again, and how fighting can make that happen again. And that's what happened in the show. Basically, they had this last piece of land that was actually going to be okay, but the people just couldn't get along. They fought too much and screwed it up. So they had to take a spaceship and put themselves in cryosleep, and they went to some other planet that they found, I guess, mysteriously. That part's kind of vague. Some of the guys did some research and they found out that it was a planet. And so they fly there, or space sleep over there, and then they land on this planet. Well, a couple of people land on this planet. Other people are still in orbit or whatever. But again, with this fiction stuff, I like to just keep all options on the table. There really is often a chance when you're looking at fiction that they're telling you, right, either the straight up truth, like the actual literal truth, but they're transferring it to maybe some other element or a symbol or something, right? That's why you have to really be sort of aware. Because they're not going to tell you directly to your face, but they're going to put a ton of information in there and, try to obfuscate it in the right way that will keep you from recognizing it for what it is. But at the same time, it can still be a full-on admission of guilt or a full-on explanation of what is really going on. But, since it's fiction, then it's fine. Like, you don't really think about it too much. You just sort of move past it, right? It's just a movie. It's just that's superheroes things or whatever. We're not dealing with something like this in this image where a Saturn-like gigantic planet gas giant is orbiting us, but as soon as I saw this, it instantly reminded me of everything on the web these days about Planet X and Nibiru and that whole community, right? And here's some fiction where they land on a different planet, right? But that's what I mean with this flipping of the script. They flew away and found some other galaxy, and or maybe not galaxy, but they found this other planet and they're gonna land on it, you know. But maybe that's the option here of the show, to show you what's actually going on here on Earth, and they transfer it all to another planet to make it seem like, you know, well, if you believe this is what's really going on, then you're an idiot, because you know, that's just the plot from the 100. But you know, there is an off chance that this is like straight up how it is. And I'm not going to say that I know. I just definitely know that cosmology in general has been obfuscated and sort of shifted, subtly shifted. They tell us a lot of stuff, but right, if it's not the full truth, then it just makes it easier to manipulate people, I guess. But the concept in this show, in this moment, is they realize, and I don't know how they could fly to this planet in a spaceship and not realize this before they got there, but they realize that this habitable rock that they're standing on, that looks exactly like Earth, because, well, obviously it was shot on Earth, but that this planet with water and grass and mountains and everything is actually a moon, that it's a moon of this gas giant here, this Saturn looking like planet that is, you know, obviously much closer to this planet than Saturn is to our planet. But that's the idea here, that that Earth basically is a moon. And not Earth. I mean, this is like whatever they call it, the extra new planet, Alpha, Prime, Omega, hardcore planet. They're saying that it's actually a moon and it's orbiting this Saturn-like object, and that was, you know, it made me sort of pause and think about, well, what if that is actually what's up? You know, what if all this Nibiru, ancient, you know, because there's so many references to Saturn and Jupiter, and those maybe being our previous suns, or other sort of imagery, all that old stuff about the pole shift and ancient rock carvings and all that kind of stuff. It puts a pretty strong point on Saturn, and that ties in that whole cult of Saturn, ball worship and everything. It's all sort of Saturn based, right? And again, here they could have done Jupiter, they could have done a different planet, but they definitely gave it those iconic rings. And they're telling us that, yeah, this Earth-like rocky planet is orbiting Saturn. Or not Saturn, this other non-Saturn Saturn. It's a Saturn. And I'm saying, like, what if that is actually what's up? Like, what if the sun is whatever, like, not a thing, and that we're actually orbiting a large gas giant? And or we were in the past, and that's why everybody seems so obsessed with Saturn, basically. You know, I just want to put everything on the table. What if that's what's up? And this is what this show is trying to sort of hint at with us. Another fascinating part, I thought, of the cosmology of this planet is that it has a double sun. Or two, it's like a binary system, right? So you have this moon, or sorry, not moon. It's the sort of old school style sun here. This yellow, bright, fluffy sun, and then you have this red, sort of dark, scary sun. And that's sort of the premise of the whole episode, that once these eclipse, that people start to act really, really crazy, and, you know, friends become foes, and people start killing each other, and all the insects turn into blood-sucking monsters, and basically everything gets ruined, and everything is terrifying as soon as these two objects eclipse each other, which, you know, obviously heard a ton about this whole concept all throughout the conspiratainment area. A lot of talk about, right? The black hole sun, the neutron star, this eclipse, and then also how that would affect human behavior or cause like the physical world to react in certain ways that us, in our current frame of understanding would consider just absolutely impossible. Like people floating up into the sky or right, or going crazy and stabbing each other, because that's what happens in this show. Like these moons are, or these suns are eclipsing each other, and that makes the person that loved one person totally want to kill him and stab him, and right, it's something in the air, they say, and it messes with their heads. But how could it be something in the air if it has to do directly with a celestial body's interactions with each other? Celestial bodies that have nothing to do with the planet that you're standing on. How could that actually have an effect? But it's those are definitely hints that I hear all over the place, right? And here it is, right here in your mainline TV that was probably watched by I want to say millions, whole bunch of people. This is a very popular show, definitely at the top of many people's lists, and now it's back up. And yeah, definitely gonna watch it because it's amusing. But right, I just wanted to show some of these images because, right, again, there's a good chance there's a good chance there's not a lot of overlap. I hear a lot in the conspiratainment world about how either it's like everything is Satan, actual Satan, and they're trying to totally steal your soul by having some degenerate stuff. There's a lot of talk like that, but then also a lot of talk about how shouldn't really focus on entertainment. It's sort of a waste of energy if you're a truth seeker, because there is so much falsity in there. But I would say exactly for that reason that's the good reason to really take a close and like analytical look at fiction. And I keep saying fiction, and that makes me think of books, but nobody reads books anymore. So our main form of fiction would definitely be movies and TV. That is our main form of entertainment. Right? But they recognize it in this. It's just, it has a lot to do with the Sun Simulator, WSO, shout out to WSO, Naughty Beaver, all those other guys that talk about this stuff all the time, basically. And it obviously does seem like something weird is going on with our sun, or that there was some sort of bait and switch that, it doesn't really. I'll be the first to corroborate this. The sun is way too hot. It burns your skin. It hurts your face. And that's sort of not what I remember from childhood. I remember going to the beach and just living there and having that not be an issue, like having actual desire to go out and do that. And now I don't know anybody that wants to do that. We don't want to go to the beach. Like, it's too dangerous out there. It's not just going to give you sunburn, like, it's going to give you serious problems. So again, there really is just sort of an endless stream of overlaps between the truth community and things that I see in film and TV, right? So here's this concept, panspermia, people landing as alien creatures on a foreign planet and discovering what appears to be an advanced civilization, what looks like, well, let's just call it what it is. It looks like a star fort. These concentric circles, this is sort of has like a what's it called? Not the tree of life, not the circle of life. You know what I mean? This is some sacred geometry patterning here. These ellipses and everything. But how this really just heavily reminded me of all the mud flood, star fort research that's going on, the recent Tartarians and John Levi. There's a whole bunch of guys working mud flood. Mud flood is pretty hot these days. So I haven't seen a whole lot of mud flood talk in film and TV, but I was pretty fascinated to see this right away in this, probably the most important premiere of last night, and having a star fort feature prominently. something that was built by a previous civilization that is obviously way more advanced. Like the kids from the 100 could not set up a star fort. I mean, they have a spaceship, but they're definitely not equipped to make a star fort. This is some very advanced sort of culture that has set this up. And maybe you could get a big company together and get them all organized, get some landscape architects, and do something like this. But for the most part, like I don't see people doing this. I don't see people doing stuff like this basically at all these days. It just wouldn't be worth it. Like, just maybe that's because of our economic system, and that's what makes us sort of imagine what could be possible and what's not. Because if in an alternative um, sort of social system, that maybe something like this would be a lot easier because people would be more willing to contribute to the collective effort. Is what I'm saying. But, just yet again, very interesting to see this on mainline TV when it is all over the conspiro world. And right, they think everything's chill, but they find this book and they're like, trees and plants that give us shade, and we eat them every day. We like our trees and plants. The red sun rising. And right? Again, just be aware of the overlaps, and this is I thought just pretty interesting that a little kid's book is what shows them. This is really obviously an important part of the culture here, that you got to watch out for the red sun rising. And I took this frame also because I just wanted to call attention to this shape here. As you can see, it has 5 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. This also has 5 sides. And that will tie in, we got the kids' book, we got a bunch of other sort of found objects here, and then interesting, this pentagon. Just want to point it out. And this is a bad screen grab, but basically the book starts to say that, yeah, trees are cool, but except for when this one natural phenomenon happens, and then you better GTFO because monsters and terrible things are going to happen. And I don't know, isn't that what the pole shift is all about? That things that used to be good, like water and rivers and mountains, are going to turn on us and become these massive 30-foot walls of destruction. Not 30-foot, like mile high. I mean, you got to check out the Chan Thomas Adam and Eve thing. But right, that would be the nature that is normally supporting us just turning its back and totally fucking us. And that, do you see, do you get what I'm talking about? How they're basically telling you reality in this show, but they're doing it around 5 corners in order to not freak you out, basically. So they're giving you all the information, but if you're not aware, you're just going to think it's fiction, it's a TV show, and then you don't have to worry about it. But the ideas and the concepts and the emotions, all of that gets tied up in a nice little bow and put into your mind for later use. All these social interactions. I mean, think about social interactions that you have and how that compares and contrasts to watching social interactions happen on TV. That's all I got for today. But, take it easy. Don't work too hard. And keep your eyes open, right? See if you're getting fooled. There's a good chance you are. Alright, let's see you later.